You guys are watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey, here to answer all of your questions on this live NFL Daily Mailbag from GMEV, who I feel like this used to be somebody else with a Boise State professional. Anyway, I digress. Should Carolina try to get Tyler Boyd? You can. Carolina's kind of at the point where they just need talent. They have to address the wide receiver room. Thielen did do a lot of slot stuff, and I think he's still good in that role. If I were Carolina, I would probably target upgrades of my, bigger-bodied outside receivers. Of the Bengals receivers, I'd throw money at T. Higgins. I'd spend my first pick, number 33 overall, on a wide receiver. It's a good class because the Terrace Marshall, DJ Chark stuff didn't work. Thielen was fine. He's not a number one anymore. So I'm not opposed to adding Tyler Boyd, but if that's all you do at receiver, man, you got to find more options there. From Thunder 404, what way do you think the Giants will go in the draft? Also, think will be the next DC after Wink Martindale. So 2 good questions here. Depends on if Jaden Daniels is there at 6. If Daniels, or I guess Drake May too, is there at 6, I'm putting in that card for the Giants, and I'm saying, sorry, Daniel Jones, we found a more talented quarterback than you, and you eat the Jones money for a year and rebuild that way, and you can take a receiver in round 2. If quarterbacks go, 1, 2, 3, or go 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and Daniels is not there, with maybe trades involved too, then you're going to have your pick of, in theory, Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison. There is a scenario in which quarterbacks and receivers make up the first 5 picks in which, okay, maybe you pivot and you try another offensive lineman or you trade down. But I feel like the realistic worst-case scenario for the Giants is Jaden Daniels or Malik Neighbors is there. You're probably not going to take Brock Bowers. You could have your pick of defensive players, not the route I want to go. There should be a really good player for you in the draft. And if you go receiver, or if you don't go receiver in round 1, going to be some good ones on day 2 for you. And then you add a lineman at some point too, because you need to get some more talent there. And then pick and choose your defensive spots where you want to upgrade based on who you hire as your defensive coordinator. A lot of interviews out there. I think Patrick Graham would be ideal for the Giants. How much of that true New York Daily News story was true of the, Brian Daboll maybe doesn't play well with his subordinates? That's a red flag for hiring a defensive coordinator. It's not a bad job. I think you kind of got to let some of the head coaching stuff kind of play its way out. But they should be able to get a decent guy in there. I think Graham would be the ideal pick for the Giants, kind of bring him home to a certain extent. From Joey, Stefon Diggs trade when? I don't think it happens, actually. Pre-June 1st, you sit yourself into a position where you are at something along the lines of $31 million in dead money. So that's not a good place to be. You could post June 1st, cut or trade, but they're not getting an asset this year. I think they keep him for a year. Maybe they don't touch the contract and eat the big money, but that seems unlikely. The best path for the Bills to win next year, which is what they want to do, is to keep Stefon Diggs. So will the Bills keep Diggs? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section right now. Speaking of the Bills, from Jacob's NFL channel, should the Bills fire Sean McDermott? I would not. There are things to be frustrated about. Make no mistake. You made it to the AFC divisional round. You were, again, 1 play away from making it even further. You ran into your boogeyman of Patrick Mahomes. The defense played better down the stretch this year. And that, I think, is enough reason to keep McDermott as the head coach. Not saying give him a massive extension or anything like that, but I do think the Bills' best path right now is to run it back with Sean McDermott. You probably make Joe Brady your full-time offensive coordinator. But the bar is high in Buffalo right now, which is important to remember. From Computer K1D, think the Bears should keep Fields or Jaden Daniels? Caleb Williams and Drake May suck, so no. I reject the premise of this question. It is not, Caleb Williams and Drake May do not suck. They might not be good. They might bust. The reality is of those 3 quarterbacks, odds are about 50-50 for each of them. They're both a lot of fun. All 3 guys are a lot of fun. I'm not taking Jaden Daniels number 1 overall. So I guess if you are so far out on Williams in May, I guess you're going to run it back with Fields and trade down or take Marvin Harrison in that scenario. And I like Daniels a lot. Slim Reaper is at times kind of a chaotic person because he just sacrifices his body a little bit too much. But I am not out on May or Williams either. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Fantasy football season is over. Maybe you were a champion, maybe you weren't, but daily fantasy isn't going anywhere. And Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. House money. Here's my conference championship Prize Picks slate. Give me more than Gus Edwards rushing yards. I watched James Cook have success. Why not the Gus bus? The freebie, Isaiah Pacheco, receiving yards. Sam Laporta, more than receiving yards. And Brock Purdy, more than passing yards. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link's going to be in the comment section and the description of today's show. We appreciate Prize Picks sponsoring us here at NFL Daily. From Ron, if the Bears had Montez Sweat week 1, do you think they would have made the playoffs? Oh, it's a fun question. I think they would have looked much better on defense. And I will say Sweat's a very good football player. The Bears finished the year at 7-10. Would they have been able to flip that minimum 2 games to make it there? I'm not so sure. Remember, some of their losses came from they had that game and they kind of gave it away in a couple of different moments there. The defense got better. The offense still has room to grow. I think they wouldn't have been eliminated so quickly. I think the answer is no, but they would have been closer. And you saved some time getting him in earlier by trading away that second-round pick. It was a premium investment, but you got a good player. It's a lot better than the Chase Claypool trade. Mark Kearns, convince me the Bears should keep Fields if I was on the fence. Ooh, okay. So background, I would take a new quarterback. But the pro argument here is you have a 24-year-old, going to be 25-year-old, who has shown the ability with a cannon for an arm and mobility, continues to flash the traits you're looking for in a franchise guy. Luke Getsy wasn't the answer. That's why he fired him, because Luke Getsy refused to use Fields' legs in the way you needed to. Look at the jump the Ravens took with Lamar Jackson when they got rid of Greg Roman and installed Todd Monken. And think about what you could get for the number 1 overall pick. You could move down out of the top 5 and get 2 entire draft classes. You could slide down to number 2 or number 3 or whatever and take Marvin Harrison Jr. plus get extra assets, which you could, if you needed to, use in later years to go get a new quarterback if Fields does not pan out. And you build a DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison receiving duo, and any quarterback should have at least something resembling more success with a good offensive coordinator, a guy I like in Shane Waldron, by the way. So if you wanted me to pitch it, that's how I would do it. From Trevor, does Mac Jones have any trade value? No. He's broken. It's not his fault. It's not all his fault. But they went from he looks promising in year 1 with Josh McDaniels to it was Matt Patricia as the OC. It's not his fault. It can't get any worse to, oh my God, it got worse with Bill O'Brien. He never looked comfortable out there. That organization failed him. For as much, and this is pointed out by many, as much as we want to say, going to happen no matter what, where you go matters. Mac Jones went to a bad spot with Patricia O'Brien as the play callers, and the supporting cast was not very good. So there's no real trade value there. Maybe a late day 3 pick. Maybe he can go to the Kyle Shanahan school for QBs who can't play good and want to do other stuff good too, as the backup, kind of like Darnold did. But I don't think there's no one's trading to be a starter. No one with a non-dark horse tanking plan has that in mind. So is Mac Jones a starting caliber NFL quarterback? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Go ahead and vote in the comments section. Thunder 404. Would Bobby, I think it's pronounced Babich, be a bad hire for the Giants DC? He is the linebackers coach for the Bills. They are interviewing him. He's had a very unique path. He's got ties to the Bills and Brian Daboll, so I think that makes some sense. I don't think he's been a defensive coordinator elsewhere. I'm looking at his resume right now. Not really. Been kind of a rapid riser. Began his coaching career at Kent State. The last coach at Kent State, I remember on the defensive side, worked out pretty damn well. His name was Nick Saban. It's like obviously an unrealistic expectation there, but he's young. He knows Daboll, so if you want experience, maybe a red flag, but if you want the up-and-comer who's got background in both secondary and linebackers, it's not a bad thing. Anthony Manzano, #mob. Who is your most underrated cornerback prospect and safety prospect that nobody is talking about? Ooh. So how far deep do I go when we're talking about like no one's talking? But I'll try to avoid most of these like top 50 etc. prospects. Cornerback. Let me think here. The elite name option is Storm Duck, but he actually hasn't been very good in his NFL career. I kind of like Max Mel. I know. Mikey Sane, Bristol out of Michigan. That's my guy. Because I am a sucker for the undersized nickel corner who plays like a madman out there. Safety wise, just because I mock drafted him, I'm going to skip the Utah kid because that seems mean. Bo Braid from Maryland is someone my buddy Dalton Miller mentioned. He's pretty intriguing, by the way. I'll make this note right now, too. The day 3 class is not good. As I was kind of doing a bunch of like mock draft sims for different teams, and I'm like, oh my God, it's bad. When we get like the 6th round, it's like these guys aren't good. Like relative to most draft classes. It's a thin class. NIL, small junior class, COVID year, all adds up. Now, the NFL year might be winding down. We are not going anywhere. Hit that sub button for more free NFL YouTube videos. James NFL channel, where does Mike Evans go? I think back to Tampa. I think that is the most likely path for him because they played really well this year. I think they'll find a way to make that work. From Cameron, I think the Bills draft a receiver in the first round, 24. Who do they take? Well, I think Khalil Shakir can be your nickel, so I want an outside receiver. I don't think Keon Coleman gets there, and I don't think Brian Thomas gets there either. But Troy Franklin, either Texas player. I like Xavier Legette a lot, by the way. I think he's a fun piece. Maybe the value's not right, and they wait till round 2 when there's a bunch of good ones as well. But I think receiver early makes a lot of sense. Mark Kearns, any truth to the Josh Allen trade rumors? No, there is not. That is not something that will happen. I think that is all speculative hope from other fans of like, let's make this happen. To put in perspective, if the Bills traded Josh Allen right now, they'd eat $56 million in dead money. So that's not really going to happen. They're just going to restructure his deal like, smart teams tend to do. Charles, will the Eagles trade A.J. Brown? I don't think so. There was a lot. The vibes are bad in Philly on offense right now. So they fired the OC. They got Goddard yelling at Hurts mid-game. Brown seemed disgruntled many times, was clapping out on social media. So I don't think they trade him. He's too important. But this upcoming offseason and season, it's a big one to kind of stabilize things in Philly, who's never afraid, that organization, of firing a Super Bowl appearing head coach. They did with Doug Peterson. Do it with Sirianni if they wanted to as well. Andy Reid technically too. Name a player who you think ends up getting traded. Sound off for me in the comments section. Anthony, who are your top targets for the Dolphins? Does need corner, safety, tackle, linebacker, guard, or center. You could knock out one of those spots with 2 guys in either Graham Barton or Troy Fontenot. Both guys played tackle in college, going to kick inside in the NFL. I think they'd be good mid to late round picks. I'm not taking linebacker in round 1. Corner, there's a long list of guys. Probably not a safety in round 1 either. I think for teams like the Dolphins, lineman makes sense. Finally, Ruthless Monk. I think Rashod Rice is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. No. I like Rashod Rice. The things he does, the Chiefs have begun to maximize him for in impressive fashion. He does not run the full route tree. Go back and look at his stuff. But they get in the ball in the right ways. They get the ball in space, on crossers, and it works. And that's a good thing. I think he will always be a better explosive play, big chunk play guy, fantasy receiver than he's going to be like a real true receiver one unless that route tree comes along more. He was kind of always a boomer bust player coming out of college. He's in a good spot, though, in KC, and the numbers will match that up.